Good morning and happy Friday. Today's video is going to be about the power of writing our own stories. A lot of this fluff and fogginess that we can feel in life is often because we feel like we're out of our own control. Like life is happening to us, not for us. That we are, yes, the main character, but for some reason we don't feel like the writer. And this ability to feel autonomy and free will of our own decision making, where we choose to live, who we choose to surround ourselves with. This autonomy that we feel is so important because it's this ability for us to look back at our life and every single year that we've been alive and be absolutely confident that we made every single decision throughout that time period. It wasn't made for us. It wasn't forced upon us. We were able to go through day by day, observe what's happening around us, reflect upon what we're seeing and how we feel about it, and then make a decision based upon that reflection that we believe will bring us closer to our goals. It's that autonomy that allows us to feel like we're writing our own story. And I've talked to so many people about it over this last year where they feel lost, and you may feel this sense of, I don't know where I'm going, and I don't really know how I got here. I am just here. And it's not the best place to be in psychologically because you almost feel like you don't have control over your future. Even though you dream and you aspire to do all of these things and be the best person you want to be, you don't have this sense of conviction in yourself, that belief in yourself that will drive you to produce the result that you're looking for. And more importantly than the result, it'll drive you to start in the process of trying to become what you want to become. And this is all philosophical in and of itself, but taking a more practical approach to it, it's understanding what can I do today in order to move myself a needle towards the right direction of where I think I want to be. I had trouble with this when I was at my job over the last, I would say 6 months, where I was doing really well and I was making money. And I was at this point where I thought I should be fulfilled because main character energy, I have achieved everything that I was supposed to achieve when my character first set out on this journey at this job. I went from nothing to something, and you should be proud of that. And I was. And I think I enjoyed my fruits of my labor to exactly the right point. Because a lot of us think that getting to the top of the mountain is what we need to strive for in our story. Like that is the result of all the effort we put in. We get to the top of the mountain. And some of us sit at the top of that mountain for a little bit too long. We get a little bit too complacent at the top. Or we get too complacent in a journey that's not fulfilling. You don't have to keep doing what you're doing simply because you started down that path. The beauty of writing your own story is understanding that life is fluid. The key to a fulfilling life, one of many keys, is accepting that fluidity is key. Every decision you make today, tomorrow you can make a decision that aligns with that or that pivots you away from that, and that is okay. And you don't have to write an entirely different story in chapter 2. You can write a story that allows a transition to happen. It allows and talks through reflection, through how your main character moves from point A to point B. in a way that is fulfilling in the process. Of course, there may be challenges. Actually, there will be challenges because that's what life is. You overcome these little obstacles, you conquer the challenges that are placed in front of you or that you invite to be placed in front of you. And every time you overcome them, every time you conquer them, you envelop a new sense of self-confidence, a new belief in yourself, and a new conviction that you are writing your own story. One way to visualize the power of writing your own story is by alluding to the desert. And I came up with this analogy when I was coming out of my job and trying to figure out my own thought process around life, how far I've come and where I wanted to go. And I was talking to one of my best friends and I said, imagine you're walking through the desert and you've been walking for quite a while. Every step you've taken, you've had to put in work, energy, and effort to keep moving forward. Now, let's say one day you realize you want to pause. And when you pause to take that little break, you gave your mind time to reflect and time to appreciate. But when you turned around to see how far you've came, you realize that your footprints are gone. You realize that every step you've taken has disappeared. How would that make you feel if you're just standing in the desert and you look all around you at this endless life, but you don't know how you got there? You recognize that you're here, but you don't know how you got here or even why you're here. Why are you walking through this desert in the first place? And the illusion is to making decisions that are not yours. It's alluding to the idea that many of us will go through life and continue down paths and continue on journeys that may not be ours. They may not be inherently ours. They may not be a journey that actually leads us to fulfillment, that lead us to a happy life, but we're taught by trekking through this desert that eventually we'll find an oasis. That's great. And oases in absolute would be a life send to someone walking through the desert. But the beauty of this life is that we get to choose what defines an oasis. We get to choose what means a life send, a God send to us. We're able to choose what an oasis means to us and what it looks like and who should be there. And we have to understand that we need to take every step with intention, because why would we continue to walk a path when suddenly we realize that path may not lead us to where we want to go? Forwards for you may be different than forwards for someone else, and forwards for someone else may be different for you. But all of us are obsessed with this idea of moving forwards, that sometimes we forget to take a break to understand where we actually want to go. We have this idea that if we keep down this path and we stick to it and we keep on walking, that we'll get somewhere that will make us happy. Even if that journey and that process is destructive or apathetic, like it's indifferent. There's indifference to this journey. We're just here walking through the desert. The reason I'm bringing this up is because, one, the power of writing your own story means you're able to turn around at any point in your life and you know how you got there. All of your footprints are visible. You can see every step that you've taken, and you can look at each and every step and say to yourself, I know when, why, and where I took that step. And all of those steps in your head add up to where you are now. And so you have this beautiful life picture that you know that you've created by your own volition. And that is so empowering. So empowering. All that is to say, if you're thinking to yourself right now that you've been walking in this desert and now you're reflecting and you're looking back at your life and you can't figure out why you're here and the steps that you've taken, I want to let you know that it is okay, because it's never too late to start writing your own story. It's never too late to admit to yourself, yes, I am the main character, but I am also the writer of my story. I am also the person who decides where this leads. And I'm also to decide how I want to get there. So now you're at a point where you want to start writing your own story. Where do you start? What I would do is write down a list. Write down a list of things that you think you want to change, why you want to change them, and what you would like to change them to. At that point, it'll give you a better idea of the future footprints and decisions that you're going to make in your life. And remember, there's no rush. The beauty of life is that it is fluid and it is perpetual. We are here, we exist. You don't have to rush this process. Now, once you have those 3 items down, then you have to kind of figure out how you are going to change them relative to your own life. You don't have to up and end different parts of your life in order to start writing your own story. No, man, you can write a chapter in your book starting today about the transition into a new chapter. It doesn't have to be a dramatic jump. You don't have to leap from where you are now to where you think you want to be tomorrow. No. Ask yourself, what is it you want to change, why you want to change it, and what do you want to change it to? And then take the time to reflect, write down your ideas of how you're going to make that happen in a way that is fulfilling, in a way that is intentional for you. So starting today, remember, you are the main character, but you are also the writer. Continue to move down a path and create a story that is for you and created by you. Well, that is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have a story of your own you want to share about the footprints that you've taken, or a moment where you realized that you wanted to make a change, we'd love to hear them down in the comments below. I will see you guys next week. Have a beautiful Friday.